Hello, and welcome to the Museum of Classical Art. I am your tour guide, Melvin. Allow me to show you all around the art museum we have here. We have some incredible pieces. Over here, we see some classical paintings. Uh, Note the geometry of the placement of all the things. Note the aesthetics. It's very beautiful stuff. Here we see a bunch of angels playing music for Madonna as she breastfeeds a child. And excuse me, will we be getting to the Van Gogh section? Oh no. There's no Van Gogh here. This is the Museum of Classical Art, not impressionistic garbage. Okay, this is real art. You don't you don't think Van Gogh is real art? No. What about Picasso? I'm sorry, faces shaped like cubes. Get the fuck out of here. Now, as you will see over here, hey, has this paint does this painting have a bra added to it? I'm sorry. It looks like someone painted a bra onto this woman in this painting over here. Well, here at the Museum of Classical Art, we don't believe in obscene images. But that there's just someone slapped a bra on her and it looks bad. No. This bra is for modesty. But it doesn't fit with the painting. It's the colored palette of the bra was chosen specifically to go with the painting. But she's breastfeeding a baby through the bra. Yeah, they make bras like that. They didn't have bras when this painting was made. Sir, look, if you want to go see pornography, you can go to a pornography store like everyone else. Most people use the internet for pornography. Listen, old man, this is classical freaking art, okay? It's not gross. It's not obscene. It's based on a bunch of aesthetics. Well, what is this painting meaning? Who cares what it fucking means? It's beautiful. Well, it's a picture of Jesus. I figured, does it mean something about Jesus? You don't need it to mean something about Jesus. Well, I mean, it feels like it's supposed to inspire some type of feelings about Jesus. Yeah, that you're supposed to love Jesus. All right, we're moving right along. We're gonna go over here and we're gonna see. Excuse me. What? It feels more like you're into censorship and you hate new ideas. How dare you? First of all, sir, we are not afraid of new ideas. After all, we're the ones who added these bras to these paintings to make them more modest. Well, yeah, like, what? But like nudity is a common feature in classical art. And you're acting like it's obscene. Listen, sir, when you run your own museum, you can run it however you want. All I know is as soon as we convince the other museums to let us have the statue of David, we're putting a goddamn loincloth on him. Welcome to the show. All right. Welcome. Welcome to Ruben Uncut. Today, I'm going to be reacting to and hopefully destroying a PragerU video called Why is Classical Art So Good? I say hopefully because, you never know. PragerU might get something right at some point. Although I can't wait to see how they politicize classical art. Which isn't to say that politics haven't played into various art movements of the world. I will bet you $1 right now that they are going to vaguely misrepresent classical art. In fact, I guarantee you they're going to lump a bunch of different art periods and movements like Romanticism and Baroque and a bunch of other things that we now like think of as classical art all together. I would be willing to bet money on it. Willing to bet money on it. Like $1 though. I don't know. Well, let's see here. I get a even best. Let's say it's hard to say how many people I would owe $1 to after. My point is,
How do we know that classical art, as opposed to modern art, is so good?
first of all, first of all, the question out of the gate is slanted. How do we know that classical art is so good compared to modern art? Well, the actual reason is just that it's accepted. Um, no one criticizes classical art. No one criticizes classical art because classical art was criticized when it first came out. Which means that most of the art that has survived either survived in spite of the criticism that it was receiving, meaning that the critics were wrong potentially, or the bad art has already been pushed aside by generations of people not buying it. This is opposed to modern art, where modern art is very contemporary. It's in our faces. It's presented to us regardless of whether or not it is good, because it is new. And when a thing is new, you push it regardless of whether or not it is good. The reality is that what we call modern art today, in like 100 years or less, we will have forgotten all the bad modern art and only remember either the modern art that was good or the modern art that was so controversial Republicans couldn't let go of it. And so thereby making sure we remembered shitty art instead of, forgetting it. Those are the reasons that art persists. So the idea that classical art isn't necessarily better, it's filtered. We've already forgotten all the bad classical art. Well, most of it. Some classic art still sucks. Although I'm thinking more of plays, and they're showing different, and they have an example here of, for those of you who aren't watching on Spotify, if I decide to use the video, I haven't decided if I'm going to use the video for this yet. We got a classical arts, but it's a painting of, not unsurprisingly, religious imagery of some type of Madonna, holding a baby while a bunch of angels play what appear to be a fiddle and a mandolin, which is not period of. Well, I mean, they're angels. I guess it's okay for them to have anachronistic instruments for how the woman is dressed, which implies a earlier date. And on the modern art side, it has a fucking balloon animal. So they're not exactly being honest out the gate.
We know it because it was produced within the demanding standards and refined principles of aesthetics, the centuries-old branch of philosophy that measures artistic quality.
Oh, of course. If I'm remembering aesthetics correctly, this is Aristotle, right? White people can't let go of some things a bunch of Greek people said thousands of years ago. Fun fact, the Greeks while we white people consider the Greeks to be like the forefathers of our civilization as we know it, the Greeks considered Africa to be that, Ethiopia specifically. So just gonna point that out.
Painting, drawing, and sculpture employ a number of characteristics such as composition, form, color, line, texture, and movement to
now it just okay. I'll be real here. They're clearly coming from they're clearly referring to more like presentational art, and my background is performing art. So I'm not gonna be up on all of this. Because I don't know what Aristotle said about drawing. But it's pretty basic stuff. So of course, the thing is everything they're listing here is still relevant today and is still relevant in modern art. Because things like line, texture, movement, form, color, like even modern art has these things. So I'm not sure where he's going with this just yet.
Create beauty to the experienced eye and even to the casual viewer. Each of these is present in any work of art worthy of being called art.
This is an interesting way to, like, literally, so like the aesthetics he mentioned have more to do with technique. Like, that's, even the Greeks put this better. Like, The Greeks believed that art was a representation of a higher form, essentially that we had that there was a metaphysical element to art. Essentially, that when you draw a painting of a chair, you're not drawing the literal chair. You're drawing a better version of the chair. You are drawing the idealized version of the chair. And this was something the Greeks believed about art. He hasn't mentioned any of that right now. So I don't know what this has to do with classical. To be fair, once again, performance artist, background on painting specific history stuff, I don't know as much about. So maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe I can get like a painter or someone who took art history in the non-theatrical manner to tell me. But right now, I'm gonna have to just try my best, even though I don't like how they're defining art here. Just so everyone knows, art is essentially expression. The Greeks believed that everything fell into one, that essentially things were either sports or art. I'm sports or theater. Oh, and I'm sorry. This is my point is art is an expression. The thing that makes art is that it is some type of expression. It is an expression of the artist. The things they've all listed here are all things you can use to make art. These are tools. They are listing artistic tools and saying if you're not using these tools, it's not good art. That's not inherently, that is, I guess you could say that's a theory on art. It's very specific to drawing and painting and maybe sculpture, but let's see what else they have to say.
Composition, for instance, is the positioning of objects, elegant and controlled in the hands of a master, or awkward and haphazard in the hands of the inept.
Okay, so like a painting over here like this. So they've just shown how like geometrically pleasing the arrangement of the classical piece is, and then we have this more what is that, like a Picasso or something? Like that's another thing. Like a lot of the greatest artists of history would fail some of this shit that they're going over now, because one of the things about art is that artists want to experiment with the expression. And yeah, it's great that this painting over here has got these very geometrically pleasing like angles to everything. I'm not going to deny like the beauty and quality of that. However, it assumes that what this painting is expressing is more valid than what the other painting is expressing because of this composition, the geometric composition they've got here. And the thing about that is that maybe this painting that's more modernish is just trying to convey something that is not the same thing the other painting is trying to convey. Like the other painting is conveying like, well, an aesthetic. It's trying to be beautiful in this idealized, like the Greeks believed, idealized version of the art. It is not meant to replicate the flaws of reality. That's the thing about classical art, is it's not meant to represent the flaws of reality unless it's specific. Like, I'm not going to get into tragedy and comedy right now because I don't know how applicable it's going to be to everything else they're going to say. But like in terms of the expression, a classical painting here is going to try and express an idealized take on whatever it is. Meanwhile, this one, I'm not sure what art movement this is from. I doubt they're going to tell us, by the way, is like this art is trying to say something else. And maybe it's trying to say something that is less aesthetically pleasing. Maybe it's trying to say something that is messier and more uncomfortable. We don't know, because they're not going to talk about the meaning of these paintings or even the theoretical meaning of these paintings. They're just going to use this as a stark contrast to bolster their point about what's great about classical art, which I'm just going to say, this is all opinion. What they're saying now is an opinion. If is one of them more aesthetically pleasing? I mean, theoretically, yeah, it's an idealized image. The other one is clearly trying to express something that is less contained by this weird, like, type of geometry they're trying to apply to art.
Color can be exquisitely balanced and harmonious, or garishly random and unsavory.
Okay, we got. Maybe I'm gonna have to use the video for this so I can talk more about the art. But I'll try and go into depth for anyone who's not watching on Spotify. Okay, so on the classical side, we've got classical side. It's kind of the colors are nice. Yeah, it's once again idealized imagery. The other one though, and here's the thing. Is the other one as pleasant to look at? No, it's not. But like that's kind of the point. Like that's clearly the point. Like the one over. Okay, so on the classical side, we've got a woman in what appears to be next to some type of rock pond, or she's in some type of courtyard with like marble flooring, and there's a plant, and she's smelling a flower, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. And then we go over to the other side, and it is a misshapen person in a bed with blood on him, and it's not using normal human anatomy shapes. It's very like the colors are. I actually don't hate these colors. They're more earth tone. It's red and like a dark orange, and the bed, like it looks a little graphically gross. Like there's clearly meant to be blood. Like this is clearly meant to imply some type of suffering. And so like it's not really fair to compare a painting of this idealized beauty to a painting that is trying to express, well, something unpleasant and uncomfortable. Those aren't comparable, and this comparison is horseshit. Let's move along.
Movement can be uplifting and dynamic, or static and perverse.
I'm pretty sure. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google that, but I feel like that's meant to be a Christmas tree that just looks like a butt plug on the modern art side. I mean, wait, why do they have I mean, is it just that it's a butt plug shape? Like it's all honesty, like it's very. I mean, it's all like what's wrong with that as far as shape? How this is not? How is this? How is this piece you've chosen meant to illustrate the opposite of movement? Like that move. The implication of movement is not necessary for a piece of art, technically. Like the last painting they showed didn't have like that. I don't know. I don't know if this is meant to be a butt plug. I understand that they're angry that it looks like a butt plug, but also let's be honest here. Like I said, this piece of art, well, first of all, it's some type of inflatable, so I don't think it's meant to be permanent. It would eventually be forgotten if people weren't upset about it. But now it's in this video, so it'll be remembered as long as this video exists. Congratulations, PragerU. You're perpetuating the art you hate. Also, I don't think these are comparable pieces. Then over here on the classical side, of course, we've got a stone sculpture. Fun fact, Greek sculptures originally had color. They just lost color over time. Became white. Just like Greek people themselves. I have a Greek friend. I can make these jokes. So okay, so over here we've got, of course, it's a statue. I'm gonna guess he's got a sling there. I'm gonna guess this is some depiction of David from David and Goliath. Note the fact that they're big on choosing these biblical figures, which is ironic because when like classical ideas of what they're talking about came about, it was, I'm pretty sure the Greeks, all the classical stuff. All right, all right, let's see what's next. But it's fine. They're not at all comparable works. They don't like one does not look at the green Christmas tree butt plug and think that it's meant to represent movement. Is their complaint that it lacks movement, or is it that it looks like a butt plug? Come on, man. Let's be honest. Who is making this video? They did not introduce the supposed expert at the beginning, which is different than a lot of the PragerU's videos I've watched. Was this made by staff?
In my previous PragerU video,
there
Why
he
is
is.
Modern Art So Bad? I chronicled
Oh, there's
how
another
art
one.
began to decline, beginning from about the 1860s, when aesthetic standards were gradually abandoned. Unfortunately for the arts, not everyone agrees. I'm sure you've heard the arguments.
Oh man, now I feel like I'm watching these in the wrong order. You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna watch them in the watch them in the wrong order, and we're gonna go back. And we'll watch his Why is Modern Art So Bad?
Is simply a reflection of its time. Art isn't about technical proficiency, it's about making you think. Art is a matter of personal taste. There's no such thing as great art or bad art.
All true. All true statements. And if you don't believe this, it's because you've never read art history. The standards have changed for art so many times. Like he's going to act like they're permanent. But the truth of the matter is, people have been challenging the concepts of art repeatedly over time. And also, Shakespeare would be lost to time if people had listened to his critics that said it was bad art. Absolutely ridiculous.
Where do these assumptions come from? For the most part, they are the result of art histories written and taught over the last century.
Oh my God, it's an anti-history. It's an anti-history. It's an anti-history video. Here I am making fun of this person for not reading history, and now he's literally going to be anti-history. What the
Not
fuck?
by artists, but by those in the humanities and social sciences. Not having an artist's point of view or experience, let alone artistic talent, these authors and teachers have therefore framed art in the only language they understand, meaning and social significance.
What the fuck? What the? Oh my God. Oh my God. What the? Okay, first of all, with the exception of Aristotle, a lot of the people, first of all, with the exception of Aristotle, like these concepts were generally not thought of by the artists themselves. In fact, Aristotle was critiquing other artists. Art has created numerous different standards over time. And his concept, oh, artists should write the history books so we can get an artist perspective. Okay. Is that artist going to do tons of research or just say their feelings about art because no one taught them art history and they have no perspective? This is oh my God. Oh my God. It's just anti-education. It's just anti-education. This is insane. Oh my God. What the fuck? As an artist, fuck you, man. What are you? What are you, a painter or something who like felt like he was ignored because his art felt old? Like, Jesus Christ. Yes. Yes, all art is of its time. You fucking showed us a bunch of paintings that were very specific to their time. But this bitch doesn't even mention romanticism.
It's no surprise then that people have come away with the idea that art is simply a reflection of its time. It can be.
He's going to admit that it can be. But I was going to say, admittedly, some art is ahead of its time.
But not necessarily.
Like Shakespeare.
In fact, the great artists of the past didn't care one whit about reflecting their times. They cared primarily about creating art that looked good. Art, like
Do you understand how subjective the concept of what looks good is? The idea that there is an objective standard here is absurd. Van Gogh would fucking cut off your ear, bitch. This is insane. Artists, where do you think artists get their ideas? They're expressing things that are inside their head and they're trying to bring them into the rest of the world. Look, I'm glad you like classical art, man. That's cool, but there's more than one concept to expressing art. We're not just stuck in this Greek mode where it's all about idealism. That's only one philosophy. Are you saying there can be only one philosophy to the creation of art? Why are you diminishing art to just the concept of something looking good? That's not inherently art. Product looks fucking great sometimes, okay? Like sometimes I go to see a movie, or like there's sculptures that are just part of like they're just part of like basic design, okay? Like product can look good too. Doesn't necessarily mean it's art. Aesthetics without meaning are just style over substance. Did you know that even the Greeks thought art was meant to teach you things? What an insufferable fucking cuck.
by definition, is a visual medium. Therefore, its meaning and ability to
No. There is a subcategory. Okay, not all visual mediums are art. Okay? You're essentially, if you are going to define art as visual meaning, as visual medium, then everything is art, regardless of how meaningless it is.
make you think are secondary to how it looks. After all, there can be meaning in other creative mediums like literature and music.
Because literature and music are also art, you dumb bitch! What the fuck?
Visual is what uniquely distinguishes art. Therefore, the visual is.
You mean visual art? You mean the specific category of visual art? What? 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 Are you fucking kidding me? Are you dumb? Are you? This is the most unbelievably no wonder conservatives fucking don't get art. Holy shit.
What most matters. In fact, a great work can and should stand on its own without the viewer knowing anything about its meaning. When a visual medium becomes more about what it means and less about its pure visual experience, it might succeed as.
What? This is empty-headed. This is literally an argument for nihilism. This is a demand for nihilism in art. This is artistically nihilistic. What? Well, what makes? Do you not understand? What do you think makes art look good? The fact that something looks good, like. By this definition, why have art? If all it has to do is look good, let's just make everything shiny in society and make it pretty colors and move on. This is why have paintings of people? Why have paintings of a Madonna with angels if there's no meaning to that? Why make a statue of David from David and Goliath? It doesn't matter that he's fucking David from David and Goliath if there's no meaning. Why do you think religious art exists, PragerU? This is insane. This is literally insane. Wow. Wow. Somewhere Aristotle is fucking rolling in his grave. They have not talked about idealism, by the way, which is the concept of classical art. That's the meaning of classical art. It's meant to be a metaphysical example of an idealized image of the thing. That's the idea. It's meant. This man literally doesn't know anything. Holy shit.
Say journalism or social commentary, but it has failed as art. So,
no, it hasn't. You have failed as an expert. Oh, I hope you're. Oh, you grifter. You brain dead grifter. I bet this man doesn't have an inner monologue. I bet he's one of those bitches.
For to determine quality in art, it is found in the skillful execution of a visual medium. For example, in a great oil painting by the 17th century Dutch master Vermeer, the quality is there in the controlled balance of its composition, the harmony of its color, the masterful hand-eye coordination of its brushwork. When we look more closely at the soft edge between the woman's arm and her sleeve, we can see that it was achieved by Vermeer's delicate application of paint. This is the very essence of artistic quality.
It's technical quality. He's talking about technical quality. In art, he literally wants to take the idea of art and just drain it of all meaning down to technical excellence. What? Like, why? Why? Do you hate life? Do you hate meaning? Do you hate joy? Why would you do this to art? Why paint anything if this is what you expect from art? What the fuck?
And not, by the way, because it looks realistic or photographic, if you will. Realism is simply a stylistic choice. In fact, great art need not even look realistic to be great.
Oh, of course, we're going to bring out classical Japanese art, which was very form-driven. Not part of technically what we consider classical art, though, by the way. I mean, it is classical art, but it's classical Japanese art. But it's not part of, like, any of the classical European movements. That's what I mean.
It's no wonder that many people believe the myth that photography put an end to classical art.
Who believes that? Who believes that? Who believes? You know what? No. Photography put an end to commercial art. Once you have photography, it's much cheaper it's much faster than classical art. That's almost definitely a market issue. It has nothing to do with actual art.
Given that they assumed that looking photographic was the purpose of a painting, but that was never the goal of the classical artist. Quality of execution
idealism of image
was. With each viewing of classical art, our experience of it deepens. While the experience...
How can your experience of it deepen if it has no meaning? That doesn't make sense. Holy shit.
Derives from much of more contemporary art is generally instantaneous. And, like a joke that requires a punchline, is over once one gets it. This is not to say...
Look, I'm not saying that it's not good for art to look good, but like literally he's trying to create reasons to dismiss other forms of art. And his understanding of art is literally that of a person who has Swiss cheese for a brain. This man has mad cow disease.
We can't enjoy works of the modern era, but remember that quality and taste are different things. Quality is based on developed standards, taste on personal preference.
Actually, quality is based around not cutting corners. Quality is about the effort that you put into it. Now, this man also wants you to believe it's about the uniformity that you put into it. However, this dismisses individualist-based art from numerous art movements and time periods, not even just modern art, but things that predate modern art. this man should not be allowed near art. If you go to if you go, I don't know what this man's real job is. He's not, did he say it on the screen? I missed it. And I'm not going back. Maybe they'll say it again in the modern, what's wrong with why modern art is bad. We'll see about that. Let's see what he says now.
There's one thing great art will never do. It will never make a fool of you. Its level of quality is readily apparent to anyone
What?
with eyes to see, independent of its meaning. You might be thoroughly impressed with the work of a cutting-edge artist with its impressive theory, but you have no way of knowing if you're being taken for a sucker.
So now what they're going to do is they're going to try and make you not trust modern art. Okay, look, as someone who's been to museums with modern art, they're showing the most dishonest examples of modern art. Like, that's the thing. It's like what I said earlier. Like, the reality is that classical art is all good because we forgot all the shit. All the shitty classical art got pushed to the side. Now, the tragic thing is because the uniformity of classical art, we have no idea what masterpieces of what would now be considered good art were potentially lost to time. Like all conservative theory, this is based off of conformity. Not all modern art is great. And I'm going to be honest with you here. I don't think they're being honest about some of the modern art. Okay, look, I took a whole, first of all, what they refer to as modern art, most of it comes from postmodernism. Most of it is actually postmodern. Okay? That's a thing. It's confusing because we started calling postmodern, like visual art, modern art for some reason, even though it doesn't actually conform with modernism. But the take on it only has to look good is the most brain dead shit I've ever heard. Most brain dead shit I've ever heard. Okay? Dishonest examples of modern art. All I'm saying. There's some incredible modern art that are out there in the world. You should go check it out. Go to the Akron Art Museum. It's dope.
Finally, unlike the inspirational work of the past, much of today's art exposes how coarse and vulgar a society we've become.
Here comes the moralizing. You see, the difference between modern art and classical art is that classical art is meant to represent an idealist form. But modern art wants to instead represent the world we live in, which is why modern art will often be gross or refer to unfortunate things or make you sad or uncomfortable because it's meant to be a more pure reflection of the world we live in and its various flaws or uncomfortable elements. The type of theory that he has on art as idealism is an interesting concept, but it means that we're only ever seeing an idealized perspective.
Fortunately, there is an antidote to this. You'll find it in the galleries of great museums all over the world.
You will also find modern art in galleries of great museums all over the world.
Ask the security guard. He'll point you in the right direction.
Referring to the security guard to imply that the working man has a better understanding of art because he's not pretentious. I'm
Robert Florzak from Prager University. Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation.
It's tax deductible? That's fucking gross, PragerU. That's fucking gross. Okay, we gotta find this other video. Let's see what this dumb son of a bitch has to say about modern art.
The Mona Lisa, the Pietà, the girl with a pearl earring. For a score of centuries, artists in rich Western society, with their works of astonishing...
Is that the same guy? He looked different. He looked different, right? Longer hair or something? Oh, I can't see under the... Artist and illustrator. Oh, God.
The Rocky Mountains.
He's an artist and illustrator.
From Leonardo to Rembrandt.
I get it now.
produced works that
I get it
inspired,
now.
uplifted, and deepened us. They did this.
How do they deepen us if they have no meaning? How do they deepen us if they have no meaning? Dumb bitch.
By demanding of themselves the highest standards of excellence, improving upon the work of each previous generation of masters, and continuing to aspire to the highest quality attainable. But something happened on the way to the 20th century. The profound, the inspiring, and the beautiful were replaced by the new, the different, and the ugly.
There's always been new art. There's always been new art. There have always been people making new art. There have always been people trying to experiment with art. New is the new concept, meaningless. Different, just a matter of opinion. Ugly, sometimes ugly's on purpose to illustrate a point.
Today, the silly, the pointless, and the purely offensive are held up as the
He's a sensitive bitch snowflake. That's what this is really about.
best of modern art. Michelangelo called
This is some guy who like draws really like geometrically pleasing people or something, and he's mad that some guy sold a banana to an art gallery. I'm sorry that capitalism fucked you again, man.
carved his David out of a rock. The Los Angeles County Museum of Art just offers us a rock. A rock. All 340 tons of it. That's how far standards have fallen.
I don't know the story about the rock. I don't really care. Will the rock be remembered in 100 years? Who knows? That's the only way to tell.
How did this happen? How did the 1,000-year ascent towards artistic perfection and excellence die out?
That's not even a remotely accurate description of art history. My God. Art history is more like a series of movements of people who had ideas and theories on what art should be. This guy's jackass.
It didn't. It was pushed out.
Okay. Okay.
In the late 19th century, a group dubbed the Impressionists rebelled against the French Academy.
He's anti-impressionistic. Wait, nope, I should hear him out. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions.
Academy de Beaux Arts and its demand for classical standards. Whatever their intentions, the new modernists sowed the seeds of aesthetic relativism. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder mentality.
Just true. This is true. If you like, do you like a lot of the ladies in the classical paintings, man, they would now be considered fat. Just saying. Just saying. Like, aesthetics change. In fact, the Greeks prove this. Are you mad that the aesthetics of penises have changed because the Greeks were into small penises? Are you mad that art no longer is all about the small peen?
Today, everybody loves the Impressionists. And as with most revolutions,
Because it was good art, bitch.
the first generation or so produced work of genuine merit. Monet,
Does it even matter what names he says now?
Renoir, and Degas still maintained elements of disciplined design and execution. But with each new generation, standards declined.
Come on, say the artist you hate. Say the artist you hate. We don't care about the ones you like. Say the ones you hate.
Until there were no standards. All that was left was personal expression.
You know why, though, man? You know why? Because people kept buying it. Capitalism, man. Capitalism about standards. It's about what are people willing to pay for.
The great art historian Jacob Rosenberg wrote that quality in art is not merely a matter of personal opinion, but to a high degree objectively traceable. But
who the fuck is Jacob Rosenberg?
The idea of a universal standard of quality in art is now usually met with strong resistance, if not open ridicule. How can art be objectively measured unchallenged? In responding, I simply point to the artistic results produced by universal standards compared to what is...
Universal standard does not equal objectivity. It just means that everyone agreed that everything should look a specific way. Like, do you know why all anime looks the same? with the except most of the difference in anime art has to do with either a specific genre style, as in this genre is meant to be drawn like this, or is based on like the budget they had to animate it. But in general speaking, there is a universal language to most anime. I'm not saying there aren't experimenters in the field, but by and large, you know an anime when you see it because of the aesthetic that is connected to it. This is not because some. This does not mean anime is objectively better art than American, more individualistic animation. It doesn't. It just means that one of them comes from a more conformist society and the other comes from a more individualist society. Universal standards are meaningless because they don't apply. They don't exist outside of the agreement. He literally has pulled up one, and it's not even in this video. In the previous video, he pulled up one piece of art from a non-white culture. One. And it was a Japanese thing. He literally invoked another conformist like theorem. But like at the same time, Japanese standards on different arts would also be radically different from other arts in Europe at that time. He gave a one specific isolated example because it's consistent with the narrative he's creating. Universal standards don't exist across multiple cultures that haven't directly influenced each other. We can see this by looking at history. We can see this by looking at other cultures. This is a empty argument.
Produced by relativism. The former gave the world the birth of Venus and the dying doll, while the latter has given us the Holy Virgin Mary, fashioned with cow dung and pornographic images, and Petra, the prize-winning sculpture of a policewoman squatting and urinating.
Okay, first of all, so what's weird? Okay, so I'm just gonna point this out. Technically, even though it's made with cow dung, it falls. It is not aesthetically unpleasing. Like it still follows a lot of aesthetics. So like, this is not an even. He's only mad because there's cow dung in it. Which, by the way, we use animal products to make a lot of art supplies. It's not actually that insane. And policewoman statue urinating. Come on, man. Come on. It's a statue. You're just mad it's offensive. And if you're mad that art is offensive, then you're a snowflake bitch. Okay? Just chill. Maybe the statue's making a point. Oh wait, you don't think art should make a point? If it makes a point, I could be wrong. Shut the hell up.
Complete with a puddle of synthetic urine.
That's just good detail.
Without aesthetic standards, we have no way to determine quality or inferiority.
Okay, but here's the thing: is that the materials used do not go against aesthetics. He's not. Those pieces of art don't technically violate aesthetics. Other than that he's mad at you's poop. And B, that the statue is doing something lewd. Those don't technically violate aesthetics. Just a bitch. He's just a bitch.
Here's a test I give my graduate students, all talented and well-educated. Please analyze this Jackson Pollock painting and explain why it is good. It is only after they give very eloquent answers that I inform them that the painting is actually a close-up of my studio apron. I don't blame them.
That's a trick question. That is that's just being a dick. Like that's literally a trap. He's literally baiting his. Did he say his students? Where do you teach? You shouldn't be allowed to teach. like he's look, I'm not actually a big Jackson Pollock fan, okay? Jackson, I don't know specifically what Jackson Pollock was expressing or if it was more of a Rorschach test thing. But like, I'm not, and so here's the thing. What we do know is true is I'm not gonna cite a source, but you can look it up. It's real. In the 60s, the CIA did invest money into the arts, specifically expressionistic stuff like what Jackson Pollock made. I don't know if they specifically gave him money, but they were giving art to people, money to people like him. Why? Because here's the reality: Jackson Pollock's art is an aesthetic. It's only a piece of art that you look at to look at, which is weird. Jackson Pollock's art is literally designed to do the same thing that he wants art to do, but it doesn't represent anything specific. Like, by his definition of art in the previous video, Jackson Pollock's thing would be the perfect art if it was more, if it was just more, what's the word? If the aesthetic of it was just more movement and color balance. If it was more controlled, he would think it was the perfect form of art. And if he doesn't believe that art has meaning, then he's fucking shitting himself, because all the art he's described as good have all been images of people. And people, when you paint something that is an image of a person or an object or a landscape, you're trying to evoke something. You're trying to evoke something. That's what visual art is attempting to do, evoke something in the viewer. But the point is, the CIA did give money to people like Jackson Pollock because they were trying to, not because they were trying to make art bad, but because they were trying to actively suppress political art, specifically art that was being made about things like human suffering or starvation or anything that would spawn cultural awareness, what we would now call wokeism. What we would now call being woke. The CIA was actively suppressing woke stuff in the 60s. Shit, I'm probably validating the use of the word woke by using it in this way, but I'm trying to communicate to people who might think the word woke is legitimate. This is the reality. Our government has spent more time and money suppressing wokeism than they have ever done supporting it or spreading it. What was this guy saying again?
I would probably have done the same, since it's nearly impossible to differentiate between the two. And who will determine quality is another challenge I'm given. If we are to be intellectually honest,
that's a great question. Let's see what he says.
We all know of situations where professional expertise is acknowledged and depended upon. Take figure skating in the Olympics.
No.
Where artistic excellence is judged by experts in the field. Surely we would flinch at the contestant who indiscriminately threw himself across the ice and demanded that his routine be accepted as being as worthy of value as that of the most disciplined skater.
This is dishonest and dumb. I mean, figure skating is more of an artistic sport form. This is fair, but it's still a competition. And if in a competition, all competition is based on what you're asking for a person to do physically. So competition works backwards from the other direction of the art. Instead, it is about the parameters that you set in which people have to try and succeed. Sport is about the obstacle itself. Like the reason you give points to a skater is because you look at them and you feel like they're doing something that you can't. And if that's what you get out of, if that's what you want out of art, you're a fucking psychopath. I'm sorry, that's crazy. But the other thing is that it's also easy to judge figure skating, because when a person is figure skating and they fuck up, you know it. You know when a figure skater fucks up because they probably fell down. And no one gets points for falling down in figure skate because they lost control of their skates. Like there's not an expressionistic part of figure skating beyond the dance itself. It still has to look like you're figure skating and doing something impressive. Art, however, is all about the audience never knows when you fuck up unless you really fucked up. Like that's the thing, is that in art, sometimes mistakes and accidents can be brought into the art to make something incredible, even in classical art. Oh man, this guy is a fucking moron.
Not only has the quality of art diminished, but also the subject matter has gone from the transcendent to the trashy.
God, because transcendence as a concept is only relevant to the idealism of classicalism. I mean, you can still make transcendent stuff, but like, people aren't always trying to express transcendence.
Where once artists applied their talents to scenes of substance and integrity, from history, literature, religion, mythology, etc.
Oh, look, sources of meaning. You dumb bitch. You dumb bitch.
Many of today's artists merely use their art to make statements, often for nothing more than shock value. Artists of
There's value in shocking people. What are you, woke? What are you, offended? Literally, he's offended. This is literally, if we were talking about stand-up comedy, they'd be supporting how crass and disgusting it can be. But here, oh no, that kind of art can't say whatever it wants. Censorship. This is anti-First Amendment. This entire video series, anti-First Amendment. These bitches trying to take away our freedom of speech through art. What a bunch of psychopaths.
the past also made statements at times, but never at the expense of the visual excellence of their work. It's not only artists who are at fault.
So if it's pretty, it can be vulgar, but if it's not pretty, then I'm going to make a fit. Why can't art be what I want it to be?
It is equally the fault of the so-called art community, the museum heads, gallery owners, and the critics who encourage and financially enable.
What about private art buyers? You know, rich people who buy art? What about them? Are they, or is that just supposed to be like the secret group of the art community? So that you can't like indicate, by the way, a lot of reason why art is bad is because rich people are dumb suckers who buy shitty art sometimes. Like, are you hiding it? Maybe they'll say more. Museum heads, okay. Like, okay, first of all, gallery owners, that's pure capitalism. Let's address that one first. That one's pure capitalism. Okay, that one's pure capitalism. Gallery owners are literally people who sell art. They want art that sells. If the society is buying the art, they're going to sell it. This is dumb. I mean, unless you are willing to admit that capitalism makes art cheaper and shittier, you're not addressing it. Critics, yeah, critics are full of shit. Critics, however, you know, are also the people who put forward all the, you know, bullshit standards in society. You yourself are being a critic. You like, I mean, to be fair, you're saying, oh, these critics, they're too soft. These critics are being too soft on people not holding up to standards of art. Why isn't there a market for my art anymore? I gotta do commissions. A lot of artists make their money on commissions. I'm not judging people who do commissions, just to be clear.
The production of this rubbish. It is they who champion graffiti and call it genius. Some
graffiti is extremely aesthetic. Some graffiti, like, there's no reason that graffiti can't meet an aesthetics level. You can do aesthetics with graffiti. This is dumb.
Promote the scatological and call it meaningful.
Look, I'm not going to tell you that everyone who ever stuck a dog shit turd on a canvas was was a great artist, but like it really feels like you're just being a little snowflake. Like, I'm sorry, but this is capitalism. If someone's willing to buy it, someone is going to try and sell it. No, I mean, he's even kind of letting the cat out of the bag here because he puts up the gallery owners as the ones promoting this vulgar art. Yeah, because America's fucking vulgar. A lot of people here, even Republicans, are pretty down with vulgar.
It is they who, in reality, are the naked emperors of art. For who else would spend $10 million on a rock and think it is art?
I don't know, man. Somebody did. It's capitalism. You telling me you wouldn't sell a guy a rock if he was going to offer you $10 million for that rock? Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. This is capitalism. This is your system. PragerU.
But why do we have to be victims of all this bad taste? We don't. By the art we patronize at museums or purchase at galleries, we can make our opinions not only known but felt. An art gallery, after all, is a business like any other. If the product doesn't sell, it won't be made.
This bitch. Yeah. Yeah, I just said that. You buy my art. Please buy my art. They don't want to buy my art because it's not a dog turd. What's wrong with the world? I only know how to sell my art through galleries. Never mind that the internet exists now.
We could also support organizations like the Art Renewal Center that work to restore objective standards to the art world. And we can add.
I don't like that. I like literally like I thought they were gonna be an art restoration organization. Like I thought like, oh, people who save paintings that have been damaged or statues. I said, oh, that's great. I would totally support that. And then he says to restoring objective. Like I thought, like I heard the word restore, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And then they got to objective standards in art, and I was like, oh no, this is a censorship organization.
Advocate the teaching of classical art appreciation in our schools.
I mean, yeah, sure. It's part of history. We should bring up classical art. I'll be fine with that one, but I'm not gonna say that schools should be like, and this is the only way it can be done. I'm not gonna support that.
Let's celebrate what we know is good and ignore what we know is not.
You know, ignoring would mean not making videos that showcase that specific art, right? That you understand that is the opposite of ignoring it. That you, in fact, are creating a record of that art, thereby perpetuating it forward in time. Did you ever think about that while you were doing this? Oh, of course, you probably didn't, because you're a person who literally only wants things to look pretty by your own definitions. Oh, man. What a cuck.
By the way, the white background you see behind me is not simply a white graphic backdrop. It is a pure white painting by noted artist Robert Rauschenberg at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. I'm Robert Florzak for Prager University.
I'm Robert Rubberback, and I'm
Let's talk
a
about
pussy ass
better
bitch.
health. If you ever feel anxious, depressed,
Are you? If you feel anxious and depressed, you're probably on PragerU. Oh my god. Oh my god, I did this on a whim and it worked out because wow, PragerU. I just it's vaguely mind-bending. It's vaguely mind-bending. I don't even conservatives, they're bad at art. I think that's the takeaway. Conservatives, bad at art, good at conformity. Why can't everything be the same all the time? Why must things change? I don't know, man. I don't know where that guy teaches, but I hope to God he's not tenured. Someone's trick him out of there. You know what I'm saying? That guy's literally a problem for art. He's a art fascist, and although not a futurist. All right. Well, thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this, then please do like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever it is you're doing on whatever the platform you're listening to it on or watching it on. You know, whatever's good. You know, whatever tells the algorithm I'm cool. All right. Yeah. Don't let douchebags ruin art. Express yourself. Hello and welcome to the Modern Art Gallery. My name is Doug. Are you interested in purchasing any of the works here on display? This is a half-eaten banana just taped to the wall. What? Oh, son of a bitch, someone ate half the banana. That was a $4,000 piece, son of a bitch.